Hat, check. Sunglasses, check. Notes, check. Pepsi, check. Sources, check. Thick skin, check. Oh, and one more thing. 10,000 subscribers, check. Let's go! Well, it's official, guys. The deal that we were expecting to be done is done, and it is a big one, just like we expected. The Big Ten agreeing to a historic TV deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC worth $7 billion. The payout's going to be right around $1.2 billion annually, and it goes to 2030. This is a massive, massive deal. But the thing is, they left the caveat that expansion is still likely in the Big Ten. They're still looking at other teams. Now, the Big Ten has said that Cal, Stanford, Oregon, and Washington are still being evaluated as possible additions, but for partial share members. In other words, they wouldn't get the full payout that all the other members in the Big Ten already get, but they would get a significant payout, and they're safe for when the Big Ten and the SEC plan to split off from the NCAA and create their own national championship playoffs rules, all that good stuff. So it's still looking likely that the Big Ten is going to expand, and they're looking at Cal, Stanford, Oregon, and Washington. I don't know if they're looking to add all four of those teams or maybe just a combination of two of them. I don't know. But I do know that they're looking at all four of them and evaluating, I guess, looking at their worth and seeing what they bring in as far as viewership. So the eyeballs of Fox and the Big Ten will be on the Pac-12 to see what kind of TV ratings they get coming college football season. So during this deal, the Big Ten championships, Fox will host 4 of them and CBS will host 2 of them. So Fox will get the majority of the Big Ten championships when it comes to football, and CBS gets 2. That's still not bad. Here's the thing. People are saying you still can't count out ESPN. Even though they've stopped bidding on the Big Ten, it's still a possibility that ESPN can come up with a small TV deal with the Big Ten. Right now, ESPN has heavy interest in the Pac-12 because they backed off of the Big Ten. ESPN wants the Pac-12 to fill their 4th window with the Pac-12 After Dark taking that 10 p.m. slot. So the Pac-12 will serve a purpose for ESPN. That's why they're bidding on it. Especially since as of right now, they have no games with the Big Ten. Now that could change in the future, but even if that does change, it's not going to be a big deal where they're going to carry a lot of games, just a few games. So the Pac-12 is still important to ESPN. Here's the thing when it comes to ESPN's deal with the Pac-12. According to Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports, ESPN might have to agree to a media rights contract that allows Cal, Oregon, Stanford, and Washington, the 4 teams I just talked about, and out if approached by another conference. So once again, that confirms that the Big Ten is evaluating those 4 teams, and ESPN might have to agree to a contract with Pac-12 that gives those 4 teams an out. I'm sure ESPN's not happy about that. When it comes to the Pac-12, the Big 12 has a window to grab some Pac-12 teams, but once that window is closed, it's going to be pretty much impossible for the Big 12 to grab any teams from the Pac-12. So we've heard a lot of rumors that the Big 12 is interested in Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, probably Oregon and Washington, but that's definitely not going to happen. But if you're going to grab any of those 4 teams that I just mentioned, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, you have to do it now. Here's your window, Big 12. And I would say this, if the Big 12 doesn't grab any of those teams out of the Pac-12, you're going to be targeted to be picked apart. I did a video on that yesterday. So this is a massive blockbuster TV deal for the Big 10. It's going to start in 2023 and it's going to end in 2030. The SEC is currently negotiating their TV deal with ESPN. It's supposed to be similar in the dollar amount. They have 1 more year to negotiate. But as far as the SEC and the Big 10, a lot of people are comparing them to the NFL. They have the same amount of teams as the NFL conferences, 16 and 16. The amount of money that they make more than the other conferences, and possible unionization for the Big 10. And on top of that, presidents and chancellors who make up the College Football Playoffs Board of Managers had a meeting on Monday discussing the possibility of operating outside of the NCAA. So we're talking about the college football playoffs operating outside of the NCAA. So that means that the conferences who make the college football playoffs would also have to operate outside of the NCAA. And that's what all this is leading to, especially the SEC and the Big Ten breaking off from the NCAA and operating outside of the NCAA when it comes to college football, especially the college football playoffs. Now, as far as the deal with the Big Ten, we all knew that CBS got outbid by ESPN for the SEC rights. Well, according to CBS, from the moment we didn't renew our SEC rights, we targeted the Big Ten for both football and basketball. It was important for us to continue to program the 3:30 window on Saturday afternoon, which has been the highest rated window for many years in all of college football. So basically what CBS is saying is, hey, even though ESPN beat us on the SEC rights, immediately after that, we turned our attention to the Big Ten. We grabbed that 3:30 window. And that's what this deal includes. CBS does get the 3:30 window for the Big Ten. So that's a big win for CBS as well. And I was hoping CBS would stay in college football because they have one of the better introductions when it comes to sports. My top 2 favorite all-time introductions for sports was college football on CBS and the NBA on NBC. When the NBA on NBC went away, I basically stopped watching the NBA because of that. So I'm glad to see that CBS is staying in the college football market. So I think all this is basically the Big Ten and the SEC posturing, trying to grab the biggest brands, make the most money, split off from the NCAA, and operate outside of the NCAA, including the college football playoffs. And that's what we're looking at. And a lot of fan bases whose teams are already in the Big Ten and the SEC are happy about this. Hey, we're safe. We're going to make a lot of money. And I understand that. But the problem there is you run the risk of a product that looks very, very similar to the NFL. There's a reason that college football fans love college football and not necessarily the NFL. Now, I do know some fans that love both college football and the NFL, but for the most part, it is a separate fan base. And it's because there is a difference between college football and the NFL. This is not necessarily a good thing for college football. I don't want to watch a college football product that looks similar to the NFL. So if I were a member of a fan base of teams that are already in the Big Ten and the SEC, I wouldn't be too thrilled at the prospect of these two conferences splitting off, making this much money, and basically monopolizing college football and becoming a product that's very, very similar to the NFL. However, I will say this. If 3 conferences can somehow get in on this deal, talking about the Big Ten, the SEC, and another conference, whether it's the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the ACC, or if the Big Ten and the SEC can somehow expand to like 24, 25 teams apiece to where there's at least close to 50 teams involved, then maybe that would make it better. But 32 teams as is, that's not good. You're looking at a product that's going to resemble the NFL. That's the bottom line on that situation. But for now, Big Ten fan bases can celebrate. You're about to make a crap ton of money. But be careful for what you wish for. You might not like the actual results. Y'all let me know in the comments section. Do you think what's happening right now in college football is good for college football? Honestly, the biggest thing is there needs to be some type of guidelines to the NIL. That's the thing that's gotten out of control. So the bottom line in all this is college football is going to be changing forever. And I'm okay with that as long as the product that we're seeing doesn't resemble the NFL. I mean, let's be honest. If I wanted to watch the NFL, I'd watch the NFL. So as long as they stay away from that, I'm okay with change. College football has gone through several changes throughout its history, and as long as it stays within its core, being different from the NFL, then I'm fine with it. Is there anything that you can think of that could save college football from going down the rabbit hole of having a product that resembles the NFL? Because that's what we want to avoid. Oh, and one more question for you. Do you think that the Big Ten does in fact go after Cal, Oregon, Stanford, or Washington? And if they do, which teams do they get? Do they get all 4 of them? Or do they just get 2 of them? And which 2 would they be? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.